Ren from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today I'm going to share with you my top 10 favorite JRPGs for the Nintendo Switch. Let's check it out. Welcome back to a special episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today I'm going to plant my flag in the ground and share with you what I think are the 10 top-of-the-mountain JRPGs for the Nintendo Switch. I do have a couple stipulations for this list, so bear with me. I'm going to try my best not to cheat, but these are the top 10 JRPGs that you can get physically right now. And on top of that, I'm going to try my best to limit myself to just one per entry. However, I'm going to have to bend the rules just a little bit at times because there are some stipulations to that. But this is by no means a definitive top 10 list. Obviously, this is just my personal opinion. These are the games that have just kind of won my heart over the most. I love my hidden gems and I'm digging deep, but today's episode is much more for somebody who is new to the genre of JRPGs and they're wanting to kind of see what are the safest bets to hop into to just get that definitive must-own experience when it comes to JRPGs, because it is my favorite genre of gaming. But if you enjoy these types of videos, please let me know by liking and subscribing. It really helps out the channel more than I can really relate to you. And since this is my list, I would love to know what are the top 3 best JRPGs for you down in the comments. I'm really looking forward to see what the community thinks. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Now, coming in strong at number 10 is Atelier Ryza. This is specifically the first one. The trilogy just completed on the Switch, but I think it's such a lovely journey, and that first entry is just integral to it. And if you find that you are enjoying Atelier Ryza's very unique battle system, which is an active turn-based battle system, but it is very mobile, it's very involved, and I love it. And it also has a very excellent deep crafting system that can really go extremely in-depth if you're looking to do the harder challenges in the games or maybe play on the harder difficulties. So there's a lot of depth there. But I will say this, if you're kind of off-put by some of the complexities, the difficulty options in the Atelier Ryza, especially the first one, I think do a good job of just kind of gating you into a much more involved active battle system. Now, on top of that, you're going to have extremely lovable characters, and if you do find yourself kind of becoming entranced in the world and kind of the chill, fun atmosphere of Atelier Ryza, then you have some excellent games to look forward to. And if you play the Ryza series and you're looking for more, I highly recommend jumping into the Atelier Sophie series, and I think that'll be a good branching off point from there. The Atelier series is a long-running, established franchise, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Now, coming in at number 9, we have Valkyria Chronicles 4. This switches up the formula pretty drastically from my 10th entry, but you have a very dark, dire, gritty atmosphere as you follow this tank unit as it is embarking almost in like a World War II type aesthetic and atmosphere. But the character development in this is excellent. I love and care so much about all the different units, and the story in this is much more mature than you typically see from modern JRPGs. But what is excellent, and I think a quintessential must-play from Valkyria Chronicles 4, is that gameplay loop. Now, you do have almost like an SRPG type battle aesthetic. However, you come into it third-person shooter type viewpoint. Now, you're going to be moving your units all around. You might have a mortar class unit or a tank unit, maybe a machine gunner, a sniper, and it just keeps the gameplay loop varied, intricate, and the stakes always feel extremely high in this game. Valkyria Chronicles 4 is kind of waned from the public sight, and I think it definitely deserves to be much more in the limelight of modern JRPG fans because this is such a unique and excellent style of gameplay. I am so hopeful that we'll see more from this series. It is the perfect long-form JRPG that I think you're going to be able to sink your teeth into and waste hours away having an incredible time and putting your mind to work with this unique style of gameplay. Now, coming in at number 8 is Ys 8. This, to me, is one of the absolute best games that Falcom has ever created. Now, I still personally consider Ys 8 to be the best Falcom game. I know that could be heresy to quite a few many people. I love the Legend of Heroes series too, but I think if you are just looking to come in for a singular, contained experience, Ys 8 is an incredible entry point to one of the best and most revered and established action RPG franchises in all of JRPGs. You play as Adol, who is once again shipwrecked and finds himself on this mysterious tropical jungle island. You have a very fun and an energetic cast of characters where you put together this motley crew of adventurers and heroes to essentially build a base camp and explore out into this mysterious island to find out what it holds. Ys 8 to me is the absolute pinnacle and zenith of action RPGs. It is a very fun, energetic atmosphere. But what's excellent here is that you really see an incorporation of a dodge and parry system. As you're fighting, if you can perfectly dodge or parry an attack, you'll have an increased benefit to be able to just punish foes. So that might be just being invulnerable to damage or maybe having increased damage against enemies. It's always very fast-paced. The key integral to Ys 8's combat is just being able to exploit the weapon-based system to where you might have a character who specializes in piercing damage. Maybe you'll have a character who's better at crushing damage. And essentially what you do is you always keep an eye out for the markers that are on enemies, and you want to structure your party appropriately to be able to take advantage of enemies' weaknesses. It's very introductory. It's nothing too crazy, but what it does have is extreme fun to be able to explore this island, get to know the inhabitants of it as you have almost like a town building simulator. Everything about this game lands for me. I own it for not only Switch, for PS5. Heck, this game is just a blast to play anywhere, and it is absolutely deserving to be on this list. Number 7 is 13 Sentinels. Now, I will say this, if you are somebody who is a mega fan of excellent quality stories, and if you are a person who is extremely in dire need for a quality sci-fi tale, 13 Sentinels should be number 1 on your list. This to me is integral must-play gaming. However, on top of that, you're going to be following 13 different main characters, yet somehow, I don't know what kind of voodoo magic that Vanillaware was able to pull out, but they managed to balance an entire cast of 13 characters and make it extremely enticing and endearing, and I was hooked on this game from start to finish. The mysteries in this, the way it uses time travel, it is excellent. What is so wild about this game, and some people might be pretty mad that I'm putting it on the list, because it doesn't really fit into any specific type of genre. I would personally liken this to almost like an RTS style of gameplay. However, I think it is deserving of your time, it is deserving of your attention, and it's still available rather affordably physically for the Nintendo Switch. To me, 13 Sentinels is peak Vanillaware. Absolutely consider this to be one of the greatest video games on the Switch. Heck, you gotta try this game, you gotta give it out, and if there's any fans of this in the comments, please let everyone know what you thought about it. I have 2 entries here, Fire Emblem Three Houses or Engage, and let me tell you why. I think these are both absolutely deserving of being on the top 10 list, and heck, I would put them very close, but for 2 different reasons. If you are somebody who just wants to play a game once and be done with it, and you have a stronger emphasis on combat and gameplay, Fire Emblem Engage edges out Fire Emblem Three Houses. Engage has peak Fire Emblem combat to me. I think it was absolutely phenomenal. However, it is held back by the fact that it does not have interesting character development, a particularly groundbreaking story, and sadly it doesn't have a new game plus. However, if you're just looking for that single gameplay run of it, Fire Emblem Engage absolutely is a must play. However, I would personally recommend that if you're somebody who is in love, great gameplay, but also phenomenal storytelling, then Fire Emblem Three Houses, particularly the Blue Lions route, Blue Lions for Life, is a must play. These to me are the absolute best SRPGs on the Switch. I still feel that to this day. They're very fast-paced games, and if you're new to SRPGs, these keep the combat very approachable, yet they keep the ball rolling to where combat never feels like it takes too long. And in Fire Emblem Three Houses, you can grow so attached to your house characters, and the stakes in the story are as high as they could ever be. Depending on who you befriend, you might be finding someone you once called a friend on the battlefield. It is a very dark story at times, but has such high highs and low lows. Fire Emblem Three Houses, to me, is some of the best storytelling and gameplay, and I would personally put the Blue Lions route from this game as one of the best stories to be on the Nintendo Switch, not just JRPG related. I was hooked on this from start to finish, and even though these games do have typical trope type characters, there's always a room and element for character growth, and there are some of my favorite characters in all of gaming in these. I love them so much, but again, Fire Emblem Engage, if you just want a single playthrough, excellent combat, and Fire Emblem Three Houses, if you want some pretty good combat, but god tier storytelling. Now coming in at number 5, is what I would consider to be the best turn-based combat in any video game, Shin Megami Tensei 5. I think the Switch houses the absolute zenith of JRPG turn-based combat. Now in Shin Megami Tensei 5, it has a very approachable difficulty system. These have typically been renowned for being extremely difficult turn-based games, but I think SMT5 finally found the perfect balance of being able to introduce new players to the gameplay formula. It is going to be essentially a collectathon. In SMT5, you can talk to demons and recruit them into your party. Then you can then take them and go to the Cathedral of Shadows and fuse them to have different types of combinations, maybe different, you can move over different spells or passive abilities and start to create your own unique party. This offers a level of autonomy that is just mesmerizing. If this game is for you, you can dump hundreds and hundreds of hours into this game. SMT5 still holds the record for the game I have beaten the most on the Nintendo Switch. One of the best looking games on the Switch. I love it. I cannot recommend it enough. I have dumped dozens and dozens of hours into this game. And really though, just with the look, the epic and awesome demon designs that are in this game, it's just a wealth and gold mine of content that is here. As you play the game, you're going to have the option to align with different routes, whether you want to be a lawful character, a chaotic character, or neutral. It's just fantastic to see how the world and the stories change as a result of your decisions. However, I will say as a disclaimer, if you're somebody who only specifically cares about story and character development, this might be one you want to check out more reviews on. I have a full review and tips and tricks guide to this. I'll have those linked down in the comments, but I cannot recommend SMT5 enough. Now coming into the final stretch, we have at number 4, Nier Automata. This is, in my opinion, one of the most jaw-dropping ports to come to the Nintendo Switch. This is the zenith of storytelling for me personally. It is the perfect marriage between god-tier platinum action RPG combat, absolute top of the mountain music in this game, Weight of the World, and so many other tracks just slap, and they are so impactful. I love it. And what's excellent about this is that the character development in this breaks away from the mold, and you have just deep and complex character growth, a mesmerizing sci-fi story. It is the perfect element of just fun, action, high-paced, high-tempo combat. It runs excellent on the Switch. I don't think a lot of people really thought that this could have landed, but it is fantastic. This is one of those few games that was hyped through the moon to me, and let me tell you, it exceeded all expectations. Undoubtedly, one of the greatest JRPGs ever to be created. Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age. This is the epitome of nostalgia. This is feel-good feelings. This is good versus evil. It takes all the traditional tropes that you could see in a game, but it reinvigorates them, and you feel like you're playing a traditional, incredible experience with lush, gorgeous visuals that pop extremely well on the Nintendo Switch, especially the OLED. And I love this game with all my heart. Truly, the cast and crew from this game are some of the absolute best. Sylvando for life, the friend we all deserve. Dragon Quest XI takes the traditional turn-based combat system that it helped pioneer, and it delivers in a very familiar way. But over the course of this 60+ hour experience, you're going to have such a wonderful classic adventure with the Luminary and the gang. It is a feel-good story. And honestly, the hours melt away with that incredible soundtrack. One of the prettiest looking games on the Switch. I think everything from here on out is just a benchmark for how Switch games should look. If you're somebody who doesn't want all the flair, the pomp, and the frills when it comes to turn-based games, you just want a traditional JRPG, look no further than Dragon Quest XI's. This is the top of the mountain. Now coming in at number 2, is Persona 5 Royal. I'm telling you, it was very difficult for me to not put this as number one. This is a phenomenal port to finally come to the Nintendo Switch. All the naysayers say it could never happen, yet here we are. Look, Persona 5 Royal is what got me into the entire Megaton series. From here, I just had an insatiable desire for all things Persona related. I made my way back from this all the way to Persona 3 and then hopped over to SMT. This started it all for me. In this, you're going to have an extremely high stakes story as we follow Joker and the Phantom Thieves as they band this motley crew together to take on some extremely evil individuals to help change their heart and save the world. This is absolutely one of the best turn-based battle systems, and yes, it does follow the press turn battle system that I think is perfected in SMT5. However, in Persona 5 Royal, you can expect a phenomenal iteration of the press turn battle system with the baton system, to where if you target an enemy's weakness, you'll be able to get an additional turn. You can pass your turns to other characters. There's this ebb and flow that is always hopping. It's keeping the gameplay moving. It runs fantastic on Switch. One of the best soundtracks in all of gaming. It brought jazz music to a whole new generation of gamers. Look, Makoto, best girl, everything about this is perfection. I would say, in terms of JRPG, the closest you can get to perfection is found here at the top of the list. And Persona 5 Royal is must-play gaming. Easily a 100+ hour experience. You can get to know these characters and spend the summer playing one of the greatest JRPGs ever made. Persona 5 Royal, top marks from me, must-own gaming. And coming in at the number one slot, the definitive, absolute best, no questions about it for me, JRPG on the Nintendo Switch is Xenoblade 3. However, I'm going to cheat big time on this one. It is the absolute best because I have played Xenoblade 1 and 2. So yes, I absolutely consider Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 to be a giant interconnected story, and they are phenomenal. But Xenoblade 3 is perfection. Look, this list was going to be dominated by Xenoblade if I didn't do this, so please forgive me. However, look, Xenoblade 3 is the absolute culmination of one of the greatest stories in gaming. This game rendered me to tears. Look, if you are a gaming dad or if you are a gaming mother, this will hit you right in the feels. And in this, you're going to have kind of a modified action RPG active time battle system form of gameplay where you're going to be utilizing auto attacks mixed in with special character abilities, and there's going to be kind of a button press system to where if you can time your attacks in sync with your character's auto attacks, you're going to have bonus modifiers and damage. I come from an MMO RPG background. The Xenoblade trilogy is one of the greatest single player MMOs to ever be created, but on top of that, you're going to have one of the most jaw-dropping forms of just exquisite, perfect storytelling to be imagined. Xenoblade 3 almost feels like it should be impossible to have landed. So many times I've been burned in the past by absolute dog trash third entries in a series that I love. Look at Mass Effect 3. Couldn't stick the landing. Xenoblade 3 stuck the landing so hard, it stuck straight as solidified number one status in all of JRPGs for me. This is phenomenal. And look, if Xenoblade is for you, you're going to be just as cuckoo bananas about it as I am. Fantastic character development, goated soundtrack, and then on top of that, some moments that will blow your mind. If you have never played the Xenoblade series, I am so excited to tell you there are still untapped wells of greatness for you to find. There are still god-tier horizons for you to discover, and they are found in the Xenoblade games. I hope beyond hope that we haven't seen the end of this. But to me, Xenoblade 3, if it were to be the end, it ended perfectly. The combat in these games are approachable, but they offer a level of depth that if you're somebody who really likes to work your mind with numbers, you're gonna find that min-maxing potential here, which to me hits all those receptors in my brain that I love. Xenoblade 3 was my game of the year last year, even though I didn't release a video on it. Spoiler, Xenoblade 3 was game of the year last year for me, and I think it's must-own, must-play gaming. I wouldn't hop in just at 3. For the average gamer, you could spend years playing these games to just flesh out everything that they offer. If you're looking for a game to plant down roots in, if you're somebody who wants to get the absolute top bang for your buck, Xenoblade 1 through 3 is where it's at, and Xenoblade 3 is the greatest JRPG on the Nintendo Switch. Well, there you have it. There's my top 10 Switch JRPGs. Obviously, this is just my list, so I would love to know what yours are down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoy these types of videos, please let me know by liking and sharing the video. It helps out the channel so much. I want to thank the channel members and patrons for making videos like this possible. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.